Round by round, the Bassmaster of 86 and 91, J Bancroft has got better and better. Just ask Bob Crawshaw, who he took to the cleaners in the quarterfinals. And back in the grooves he exploited so brilliantly last year, the reigning champion G Cookson. Those two set for a semi-final of top-class potential. Well, a very good afternoon to you. The heat is on as we look forward to finals day of the Bassmasters 95. The temperature is rising. It's not too bad up here, I can tell you, but down on the green it's absolutely stifling. And there's your proof, registering on the digital thermometer down by the green, 89.1 at the moment. It has been as high as 85 this afternoon, and hardly, 95 should I say, and hardly a breath of air. Well, here are the 6 survivors out of the original 32. G Cookson 5-2 favourite for the tournament. J Bancroft 2-1. What a semi that's going to be. Tommy Johnson, Dave McDermott, Paul Strutt and N Fletcher still to contest their quarterfinals. So the remaining quarterfinals first, obviously enough. Tommy Johnstone, well, it's got to happen sometime. He's been beaten in 2 finals of the Bass. The nearly man is getting close again. Dave McDermott from Heswell on the Wirral is a surprise package, never having experienced a tournament of this stature before. Paul Strutt is hoping to go one better than his dad Ken, the beaten finalist in 82 and 91. But there are no easy games at this stage and no tougher opponents on the rates green than N Fletcher. Young Paul's got his work cut out all right, but he knows it. Well, in the first of 3 sessions today, we'll be concentrating on that Strutt-Fletcher match. Now, Strutt got off to an awful start. He was trailing 13-3 at one point, but the comeback's underway. 15-9, Fletcher leading, the commentators being Brian Brett and Hugh Johns.
Now then, finger peg mark, round pegging. That's where the bias and the crown join forces to drag the bowl down. Norman really fancies that one.
Run away, lad! Run again! Run again!
No, pulled up on him.
Unusual for Norman to go all the way after a first bowl. I mean, it is so hot out there.
It's
steaming Norman, isn't it?
I like yours, Paul.
Shoulders droop as he goes back up again.
He's had a 60, 70-yard walk for nothing.
Go on then. Drop down just enough. Well, they're a distance from the block, but they're counting the 2 blue bowls. Well, that's done nothing. If it was 2 before, it's still 2 now. We'll wait for Norman to cast his eye upon it. And that gap closing with every end that's being played.
Strutt 2.
2 it is. So Paul Strutt just 4 adrift now. I don't think that went just to the spot that Paul wanted.
No, he's placed the jack somewhere he certainly didn't want. I think he was trying to get back towards that saucer, Hugh. Good lead, though.
Well, he'd be well satisfied with that. There's Father Ken, who was already out of the tournament.
Almost 2 feet short of the block. Oh, yes, I think so. Hang on.
Just asking whether it's 1 or 2 against him.
Yes, 2.
2 against him.
Run a bit more.
Strutt 1.
Well, this is a fine gallop now by Paul Strutt. He's definitely back in it now, just 3 chalks adrift.
put the jack exactly where he wants it this time. You only think he's won 6 of the last 7 ends.
Well, that's a yard and a bit too heavy. And this looks like being a yard and a bit too short. In fact, it's a good 2 yards short.
You're on, Paul.
Debbie
How far
Strutt,
through? Nearly 2
Paul's
yards.
sister, herself a really top-class crown bowler. She knows exactly what her brother's experiencing out there, the pressure that's building on him. And I'm sure she's proud of the way he's responding to it. N Fletcher certainly had this whole match totally at his fingertips 10 minutes ago.
Now then, oh, it's fallen back, Hugh. I thought it
the
might
blue
have been a
ball's
measure.
in.
Yeah.
The blue ball is in.
Strutt 1.
Well, Norman Fletcher beginning to feel the heat in more ways than one. We'll be back in a moment.
For years, all petrol-engined cars have been fitted with a catalytic converter. However, in time, phosphorus in engine oils will build up inside it and stop it working as it should. Castrol's new GTX Protection Plus is an oil designed to be more catalyst-friendly, making it work cleaner for longer. Castrol GTX Protection Plus from the Liquid Engineers.
Remember that scene in the play when a nervous young man is rehearsing his great declaration of love? Kathy, I have always fancied you something rotten. No, no, no. Kathy, I love you. I've always loved you. Nothing's changed. Get in there. You know, rehearsing your lines in real life ain't a bad idea either, particularly on this beat. There's a call when you're ringing to say you're sorry. Don't just mumble, I'm sorry. Think it through first. Organise your feelings. I'm sorry. I got angry. I felt insecure. It was childish. See? Now you're talking. Or there's a call to someone that you haven't spoken to for ages. Have a few old memories handy just in case the conversation flags. Will all this planning make you sound phony? No. You'll just sound more like the real you.
Good night, Miss Dawkins.
At the Riverhead United, there's a change from your printed programme. At number 7, David Platt.
You better be good with a name like that.
David! Nice one, Dave. Come on, David!
David Platt? He must have cost you a few bob. Interesting story. Last Wednesday week it was. Driving home late, saw these lads broken down. They'd been in town at the Grand for the Player of the Year awards.
What have you got?
Says Platty. Big Mac, large fries, filet fish for the wife, says I.
I'll give you a tenner for it.
Says David. No chance. Says I.
100?
Says David.
Got to be something.
You didn't get Platty for a Big Mac and a fillet of fish? Of course not. Just a Big Mac. Bernice would have killed me.
Buy your glasses from Vision Express and they'll be ready in about an hour. Even bifocals and varifocals. And you'll get a pair of prescription sunglasses from a selected range, worth at least £89 and absolutely free. Free prescription sunglasses with full UV protection.
Just 2 chalks in it. And we're in the 19th end. And back, where were we? In the 10th end, Paul Strutt was 10 chalks adrift at 3:13. Just about a length, I would say. That running is nice, very tidy. That won't come back. Well, Norman's got the block back. That's flying through. Oh, I don't know. That rub on his own block took the running off it. Yes, it did. Took the running off it. Counts 2. So, do we have another turning point in this match?
Problem now for Paul Strutt is that he's left the jack pretty well where Fletcher would have preferred it at any rate. He's going to come right down into the deep corner. He's played into his hands, really. Yes, you're quite right, Brian, because Paul has been having a lot of trouble with weight into this corner as much as anything. The land he's been taking has been fairly good for him. The running of the ball's been right, but he's been overreaching. In fact, Norman has gone pretty well 3/4 corners, Hugh.
Thumb peg and less than a foot from the target.
Good road.
Good weight too. Yes. Just enough to effect a small collision. Norman's underneath it, I think.
Yes, I thought he narrowed a shade. Gone against him.
Yep. Now, can Paul get a collision on the other Fletcher bowl? Hey, this looks tidy for 2. No, I don't think so. Just the one.
Strutt 1.
Well, that certainly will hearten Paul Strutt's ambitions for a semi-final place, because that's the first time he's taken Norman on Norman's own mark and licked him.
Yes, I wonder if he's just going to... Well, he's had a good charge. I think Norman won the first half of the game, and certainly Paul has got to grips with it in the second half. He's still sticking to these sort of round peg marks of 30, 32 yards. Hoping to catch Norman. Not this time, though.
Paul hasn't allowed anybody to get more than 12 chalks against him so far. Took out Robert Hitchin 21-12 and Alan Thompson 21-12. But he's got 17 against him at the moment. That's the Fletcher score. But bit by bit, Paul Strutt is clawing that lead back.
I think we might just be in for a bit of heavy artillery here, Hugh. He's just asked whether it's 1 or 2 against him. It's 1.
No. Finger pegging. It's 2 now. I tell you what, it's 2 now. Now that was a gamble that didn't pay off.
It was controlled weights, but it went out of control, whereas he might have gone full-blooded at it.
Strutt 2.
Yes. And now from being 310 down, 311 down, 313 down at one stage, Paul Strutt is just behind by 1 chalk, 16-17. Do you think he's been hanging back for bets, Brian?
Well, that's a thought, isn't it? I would have thought the betting was heavily from a local point of view on Norman Fletcher and his vast experience and his greater knowledge of the green. I wonder if the heat's getting to Norman, although he's flying after that one. He likes it.
Paul, a big reach out. Peter Lawn having a word with Paul Strutt then. The crowd was saying, "Come on, referee, do your job. Mustn't run within 1 metre of the running ball." A very old rule against stamping.
Has he counted 2 on the other hand?
Well,
I think so.
I think so.
Fletcher 2.
Yes. Well, is this brilliant fight back by Paul Strutt about to end. Paul went out to Tommy Johnstone last year in the second round. Got 16 chalks against him. Norman Fletcher went out in the first round to Alan Jones, scoring 18. But for Norman, this is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is his 7th Bassmasters. And he's never got past the quarterfinal. Got as far as the first quarterfinal in his first Bassmasters, 1983, where Lenny Higginbottom stopped him. He's never ever got past the quarter. So there is a little landmark for Norman to achieve if he can score 2 more chalks. Just counting the 1, I think, but with space for Paul Strutt to get in. That land looks right. Oh, no. And it wasn't heavy enough to promote his own bowl, so he's 1 down. And Norman Fletcher steps 1 pace closer. The Magic 21, 2016. 36, just over 36 minutes of bowls played. At one time when Norman held a 13-3 lead after 10 ends, you got the feeling that it was going to be the quickest match of the tournament.
Yes, the only thing that might have delayed it then was the length of marks he was setting, but he's got that hopelessly wrong.
Isn't that a dreadful bowl?
Yeah. Well,
gosh.
Paul's having none of that. He's turned over, gone a little bit below the jack, but not put in the required length or weight.
Well, I think we'll draw a veil over those 2 bowls. But you never know, Norman might win the match on this end.
He's better. It's not great.
Well, at least it's beaten the blue bowl. But it's a country mile from the target. Surely Paul won't let him get away with that. Needs to hit. It does.
Shot 1.
Big round of applause as the Paul Strutt campaign just regathers its forces. He's still there, alive and fighting. 4 down.
His problem all the time is to just pick some land and place the jack precisely where he can lead. He's bowled quite well in that he's invariably had 2 bowls counting and he's stopped Fletcher's striking power.
Needs another couple of feet of running, that's all. Finger peg. This actually is a quicker part of the green, but you wouldn't believe it if you looked at that ball finishing.
Well, anything past the jack, I think, would run, but they've taken so much out.
Get a yard short.
Well,
Flying.
he's certainly going to go through on this. He's given that some stick.
Was holding 2,
Well,
what you think, wouldn't you?
It looked as though it was going further through than that. Norman, can he have the winning of the match with this bowl? Underneath. It's stopping on a length. That'll do it. That'll do it. Norman found it.
Fletcher won.
Yes. So that gallant bid by Paul Strutt to take Norman Fletcher out of the tournament fails here in the 25th end after Paul had come absolutely from the dead and looked as though he was putting...
So another Norman conquest, Fletcher beating Strutt 21-17. So just one other quarter-final match to be decided. Tommy Johnstone against Dave McDermott. One semi-final there. G Cookson against John Bancroft, one of the very highest order. You'll be able to see it when we come back at 2, and just for the record, the final will be at 5:30. But we'll see you in just over an hour's time. Bye-bye.
This the 25th end, and this bowl can put him into the semi-final. Has he got it right? Is he far enough? The line looks good. He's after it. He's after it. Can it get there? Can it run and run? The crowd thinks so.
Johnstone,
Tommy thinks so. David thinks so. Tommy Johnstone. That was a good win.
Welcome back to the Roasting Rakes. Tommy Johnstone has reached the semi-final stage of the 1995 Bassmasters, and so have we. And here's the appetising prospect for this afternoon. Leading the way, it'll be G Cookson, the reigning champion, and John Bancroft going all out for his 3rd Bass title. Then a little later, Tommy aiming for his 3rd final against the local hero, Norman Fletcher. Well, G Cookson became tournament favourite after beating Brian Duncan. Passed his first major screen test, so to speak, here 12 months ago. Gary Ellis, Duncan and Jack Kelly like lambs to the slaughter for the fanatical Wolves fan. John Bancroft loves the big occasion. In fact, the bigger the better for John. He's a sports turf consultant known as Banjo. Won the toughest of the first round games against Ken Strutt, struggled against Kath Garnett and hated it, destroyed Bob Crawshaw and loved it.
Whoever wins from the semi-final onwards is really going to have to earn it. There's 2 hard games. Irrespective of who they might be, there will be 2 hard games.
Well, I've steadily improved. I wouldn't say I was absolutely on top form yet. I mean, I know I'm going to have to be really playing almost at the top of my game to have any chance against Glenn, because he really is playing well at the moment.
Well, John's a great competitor, you see, and even when he gets a little bad spell, he can very often soon turn that round in the game, because he's such a competitor and he puts so much into it that he deserves everything he gets out of it.
I wouldn't say you could single any strengths or weaknesses out with Glenn. He's just a good all-round player, really. He can play short, long, he's a good striker, he's good at playing through. And he knows plenty about the green as well, so I'm not going to go on and trick him as regards the green. So you can't sort of go on and say, right, I'm going to get Glenn in the corners on a short mark or anything like that. You've just got to play the game as you're going along.
Well, Roy Armston's up here with me. Obviously there, Roy, a great mutual respect between the two.
Yes, they're 2 great ambassadors for the game, and it's very nice to see young players developing into that kind of a player where they can show off the skills and yet have a good respect for one another.
Since he won 12 months ago, Cookson, and what I've seen this week, he seems a slightly different prospect, a little bit more confident, a little bit more, comfortable with himself, in front of the cameras, having cracked it.
Yes, and following that, of course, the confidence that he had, he was the player of '94. He won more tournaments than any other player, and it's shown this week. You're quite right, he is a much more confident player.
John Bancroft, of course, we're saying he says he's getting better and better as he's going along, but you still don't get the impression when you hear him there that he's totally at ease with his game.
No, I think John's a perfectionist, like so many of these players, and he feels that he can improve. He's got all the shots, he's won everything that there is to win, and there's a lot more to come from John. So it'll be a real good battle.
Yeah, the match just started, Roy, just before we joined the commentators. One last word on John Bancroft. I mean, he was so keyed up to beat Bob Crawshaw. Might he have just peaked too soon? I mean, is there a slight danger of that?
I don't think so. I think that he will be glad to have got that game out of the way. He will feel now that he can concentrate. They're going for the major prize money now, but he's that step nearer. So I think John will focus on this game and play a professional game, as they both will, and I think he'll be quite happy about that.
Bookies can't split them?
No, it's although Glyn is the tournament favourite at 2-1 and John 5-2 on the match, you would have to lay 4-5 both of them.
Right, well, there's a running bowl from John Bancroft. We're just nearing the end of the very first end, so it's a timely moment to pick up our commentary team, link up with them again, Brian Brett and Hugh Johns.
Thank you, Elton. Super sunshine day here on the Costa del Blackpool. Perfect conditions weather-wise, I suppose, for watching bowls. Not too sure that it's dead right for them down on the green. Temperatures down there around about the 90s. And John Bancroft led the first block, having won the toss, and scores the first point. Now, an interesting situation developing immediately. Both these bowlers equipped to handle the long diagonals. This one got to be something approaching 46, 47 yards. Over the top of the crown, finger peg. John coming in from underneath.
Good length on land.
Yes, and that's running well to win it at this moment. But all three bowls that have been delivered are a distance from the mark. And that's not going to arrive. So Cookie, not yet cooking with gas. John Bancroft.
You're allowed to like yours. He likes his own bowl, Glenn. Take that one out. Yeah, measures, please.
Well, 1 and a measure for 2 in favour of John Bancroft and Glenn Cookson, with a great deal to do. Kath Garnett here, who gave John Bancroft such a hard time in their second round match. She came so close, 19 against John's 21, and John was very glad to get that game out of the way. Kath,
Bowl first, please.
quite a surprise package in this tournament, putting out Ken Armitage.
Bancroft, 2.
So John was right when he said he fancied his 2 bowls. 3-0. The lead of John Bancroft, and he sees no reason to change the mark. He goes straight back the full diagonal into the corner, and I think probably, Brian Brett, we're going to have a heavyweight contest here, slugging it out in the corners.
I think so, although both of them are very skilled on round pegs as well. I think John is just going to push this a little bit, isn't he? He's first to get into his stride. He's the first to get to grips with the running of the green, which will be a lot quicker now under this baking sun. Glenn will be anxious to count something very early.
Glenn, of course, had a difficult time against Jack Kelly in his quarterfinal. He looked to have it well won, and then suddenly found his substantial lead being whittled away. Mary Ashcroft, a referee for this one, letting the bowlers know what the geography is up at the head. I would Let's say that John is holding the 2 there. Oh yes, the overhead shot is quite clear cut, isn't it? The blue disc bowl well short.
What do you say, John?
I think he needs to know in case there's the chance of a strike on here, Hugh.
Yeah.
It may just be the one.
John trying to give Cookie his opinion. Well, that bowl took a bit of a hop, which will have affected the running somewhat. It's got some pegging to do.
Yeah.
Well,
Measures, please.
A measuring job.
Worth a measure.
It's a measure for 1.
When you were talking about Kath Garnett in that corner when there was a measure the opposite diagonal, Hugh, of course, John beat her on a measure in pretty much the same position up there in that 4th corner.
Yes.
So when you're touching.
Yes, it was a second bowl that
That's right.
Gave it to John.
Bowl first, please. Bancroft. 1.
Grey ball was on. 1-2-1. John Bancroft starts off on what he hopes will be his 3rd final in the great tournament that this Bass Masters has become. The winner in 86 and in 90 against last year's winner. Just about on a length. Anything too strong past the block might very well wind up in the ditch. But Cookie seems to have it just about right, has he? Well, he's equally on a length. And they want to know who's closest. Mary Ashcroft goes and have a look. Which one does she fancy?
That ball's falling, John. Nothing in these 2 again. They're both good length bowls. Sorry? Will you be quiet?
I want to hear what he's saying.
You're 5 inches short of the length.
Well done, Mary. Put them in their place, love.
Not being fair to the bowlers. Now be quiet.
There's a bit of beer and a bit of betting talking down there, Hugh.
Yeah.
John's gone at this finger, I think. Glenn fancied it thumb.
That'll do. If there was any doubt before, there is none now.
No. Can't hear what you're saying.
Oh, Glenn's certainly got a bowl to beat now. How do they fancy it in the corner? Unlucky.
Bancroft.
If there was any doubt about 2, there is none now. It is a single. So John being watched by his wife Gillian there. And there's the fella she's rooting for. Banjo Bancroft, who has a 5-0 lead with 3 singles and a double. Again, they're back into that corner. Finger peg mark. And a fair distance again. This has got to be 51, maybe 52 yards.
I think it's as long a mark as we've had in the tournament, Hugh,
Yes.
because the setting off point is only probably a metre, nearly 2 yards, and they are about the same distance at the other end. That's a cracking lead.
Well, it is for such a long distance.
And the pace, of course, as well. Look at this.
What a good reply. Unlucky, Cookie.
Gone out.
Unlucky.
They're quieter down there. We can tell what she's saying.
Yep.
It's the dignified corner.
Yes, when you get that close with a sort of round object which won't run straight anywhere on a bumpy up and down green like this.
Oh, one or two of the boys have arrived. Good to see them here this afternoon.
Colourful characters, plenty of carnival atmosphere down here at the Rakes Hall Hotel. Time for any of you in the area to come down here. What is it, 2:10? Plenty of bowls to be played here.
Give up, Glenn. Yeah. Bancroft, 1.
One more. John Bancroft. 6-0. He leads it. Carnival atmosphere.
I think they were knocked out in the first round, those two.
I think that was a very good idea, whoever knocked them out. And again, the same diagonal, but a varying length. Oh, John is on again. Beautiful road, lovely weight. Follow that, he says. Cookie trying. Fascinating situation, because to qualify for this tournament, John Bancroft won the Battlefield Classic at Shrewsbury last year and beat Glenn Cookson in the final. Cookie scored 22, but that wasn't enough because it was a 31 tournament. John Bancroft beat him 31-22. John actually qualified twice because he won the Isle of Man.
He was superb, that Hugh. Yeah, he was 8 points better than anybody. Oh, well, nearly.
Well, Banjo is stretching his lead out. And Glenn Cookson, I think, trying to slow the game down. He's taking his time, trudging the distance.
Bancroft, 1.
Mind you, it is terribly hot down there. And a 7-0 lead for John Bancroft. And again, dives off back into the corner. Well, watching this game with fascination amongst many of the bowlers here. Robert Hitchin, who went out earlier in the tournament, he's down there talking to Alistair Mann.
Well, Robert, at the moment, it's a case of Glenn Cookson just trying to get in the game somehow. What's he got to try?
He's just got to try reaching up and giving his bowls a chance, because John's playing very good lead bowls, and there's nothing he can do about it.
He started to show this form against Robert Crawshaw, and he's obviously been able to continue, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's getting better, is John. He had a shaky second round game, but he's demolished Bob Crawshaw, and he's just carrying on from where he left off there, and he's going to take some beating now.
He qualified twice by winning tournaments. Has he been coming to this in the mood? Does he look as though before the tournament started he might be one of the contenders?
Yeah, he just seems to raise his game, does John, for the Bassmasters. Every year he just seems to have a fairly quiet season up to July, August time, and then he just seems to just turn it on then when the Bassmasters comes around. So it's a good tournament for him.
It's not a bad time to peak, is it, when the Bass comes along?
No, it's the time to peak, and all the credit to him. He can raise his game, just sort of when he wants.
Okay, that's the view, Robert Hitchin. Back to Hugh in the box.
Right, thank you, Alistair. And it is a case of John raising his game. He's raising it to extravagant heights.
1.
Yet another single. And Cookie's still to get on the board. 7 ends of bowls completed. 8-0, John Bancroft's lead. Well, we will start to wonder, I suppose, whether the 21-3 trouncing of Brian Duncan last year by Andy Buckley on this self-same green, is Banjo heading for a new record? Too early to say that, I suppose.
Too early to say, but at what point does Glyn start thinking, oh no, it isn't going to be my day after all that? He just needs a little bit of something.
Got to get this block back in his hand. He's not held it once so far.
No, he hasn't, because Bancroft won the toss, yeah.
Yes.
Very focused, isn't he? John Bancroft, big-time player.
Yes, a fabulous background of bowls. This Bassmaster's twice, as we've said. He's won the Waterloo, he's won the Talbot, and he has picked up big prizes in so many of the major tournaments. But then Glyn, he's had his fair share of big money, and he's in. Yes! Great roar of approval for the defending champion, because he has finally ended that blitz of Bancroft.
Okay. Cookson, 1.
Now, where did Cookie go?
He ain't going back to that diagonal, that's for sure.
Indeed.
Oh, thank you. I've had enough of that.
Well, this one going into the far corner via a mark set along the bank. He's put the block off.
Oh, dear.
Oh. Now, is this a sign that it's not going to be Cookie's day? He's striven so hard to get a hold of that block. Promptly puts it in the ditch, which means that John Bancroft will set the mark. Cookie will have first bowl at it, but John will set the mark, and of course he will go straight back into the corner again. And there it goes. Now, well, a word from Roy Armson, I think, after that error by Glyn Cookson. What on earth was he thinking, Roy?
Hugh, down at greenside. There we were, Roy, thinking we were going to get a bird's eye view of this end because Glyn bowled it right towards us, and blow me, it went off. Just about the last thing he needed at this stage.
Yes, it's amazing. He's doing everything wrong, isn't he? You know, John must be delighted with the start that he's made, and you can see from that bowl how high his confidence is, and it's going to be a long haul back for Glyn. He won't be giving up yet, but obviously once he gets into if John gets into the teens, he'll become very, very apprehensive. But he's just not playing his game. I can't understand what's happening to Glyn. May only be because I think down here the green is an awful lot quicker than it has been. I think it's about 4 yards faster than it's been hitherto this week.
I know there's a bit of a way to go, and we've seen bigger comebacks than this in the Bassmasters, but do you think that in throwing the block off the green, that Cookie must have thought, oh, crikey, you know?
Yes, it was a bad mistake, because right from the start, from when he sent the jack, it was too close to the edge. He should have had it further back to make sure that it counted to be coming into his favourite corner. I know it's easier said than done, but now John's on 10. I think Glyn will be soon getting to the stage where he'll be thinking, all I can do is get 1 or 2 for the morning papers to make the score a bit more respectable.
He has just got to get John Bancroft off this mark. I mean, banjos, I mean, the bowls are like, it's like a magnet, the jack, to the bowls.
Yes, normally, you see, this sort of length would present no problem to Glyn. Glyn's one of the best corner players in the game, but I think he'd much prefer to be in the other corners. He's got, as you say, he's got to do something, but look at John here, you know, he's, once John gets in the mood, he's going to need some shifting.
That bowl's going to take some shifting, Hugh.
Well, you're dead right, Elton. That it is quite incredible, the accuracy, the tempo, the deliberation and accuracy that John Bancroft is displaying here on the longest marks that we've seen throughout the tournament. Well, there's a wayward bowl there, but he's spot on with his first. So Cookie, can he possibly beat that bowl, which is what, 6-8 inches? Trying desperately, needs some pegging. No way. Banjo has yet another one. Another single. 11. He's on the second half of his trail towards the final. We're going to take a very quick break here, but there'll be more of this tense match, this tense semi-final, when you come back to us.
Someone cares enough to know you sometimes need your prints quickly. And that someone cares enough to guarantee perfect memories. Or they'll reprint them for free. Boots. Someone cares.
To see some of the world's most amazing science, come to our new visitors centre at Sellafield, BNFL, where science never sleeps.
My grand always told me it wasn't worth going to his local dance. Firstly, it's one hell of a walk.
Secondly, it was really dangerous.
All the girls were looking for a husband. But worst of all, no one could carry the barrels of draft Murphys over here.
But like the Murphys, me and my granddad, we're not bitter.
Thanks to a widget, you can now get Murphy's Draft in bottles.
Listen carefully. You're about to hear something you won't hear very often. The Rover 600 series. Cars built this well are few and far between.
Pain from heartburn and dyspepsia is caused by the excess acid your stomach produces. Traditional indigestion remedies neutralize this excess acid, but they don't stop its production. New Zantac 75, available for the first time without prescription, actually reduces your stomach's production of this excess acid and then keeps it under control for up to 9 hours. Zantac 75 turns down the acid to turn down the pain.
Men, is grey hair sneaking up on you right under your nose? It is sneaking up on me. Here too. You need Just for Men gel for moustaches and sideburns. Brush in and in 5 minutes, rinse. Grey's gone. Your moustache and sideburns blend with your natural hair color. Just for Men gel, a sure thing for a natural look.
Welcome back to the first semi-final of this year's Bass Masters. The score is J Bancroft 12, G Cookson 1, but Cookie is about to make it 2 by the looks of this, Roy.
Yes, that's the first thing that's gone right for Glyn. Glyn's ball was actually going out, but it sat on John's back ball. He's trying to get another here, but I think he's a little bit short. At least he's got 1, so that makes him 2, but it's a long hole back, and I think he'll come down into the corner where he tried before, and this time I'm sure he'll keep the jack higher up and not send it off.
Well, we'll just stay down here in the baking heat. Now, there you go. The digital thermometer has just hit 100 degrees here at Greenside. 100.9. It's nearly 101. It is baking. Much cooler where Hugh and Brian are, but we'll just see where... in fact, it wasn't Cookie. Well, it just goes to show you do get a different perspective sometime when you're a little far away from it, but 13-1. What's he got to do to come back? Something drastic. I mean, what do you do when you're in this sort of position? Surely you've got to rattle John. You've got to do something out of the ordinary.
What a surprise that was. I really thought Glyn was in there with that bowl, but it must have just been just half an inch out. But John's not giving him much chance in this direction. He's playing superb bowls up here. Look at that again. All Glyn can do is to play a yard over each time, and if you miss, and you go further and further behind. It's desperate stakes now at 13-1.
Final point, Roy. This game has been played on one strip of land.
Yes, it's they've hardly ever moved. Glyn tried it and it didn't work, but again you see John's made him reach up there. He's gone 4 foot past. He'll be facing 2 with this next bowl.
Okay, well, John's certainly holding 1, that's for sure. Let's see how this one rolls towards the jack. Almost like magnets, Hugh, aren't they? Absolutely fantastic bowls. Just look at this again. He's storming, even more than Norman.
Well, it really is a trouncing. You told us, Elton, with that dramatic shot of the thermometer, there's 100 degrees down there. It is roasting. And John Bancroft, I'm afraid, is giving the defending champion a roasting. Boink, it's gone out. And that's a couple more. This is the last thing that Cookie expected. He expected a very, very hard game. He was telling us that. But I'm sure he never expected a run of chalks like this from...
Bancroft, 2.
15-1. And Brian Brett, we were talking, I suppose we weren't really believing it, about that 21-3 that Andy Buckley put on Brian Duncan here last year.
Yeah.
And could it be beaten? Well,
you can't argue with this man at the moment, John Bancroft. That was the heaviest defeat, wasn't it? Andy Buckley against Brian Duncan. Others were Joe Bradbury, 21-4 against Norman Heslop, and Brian Duncan himself in that final in 1990, 21-4 against Kevin Shaw.
That's right.
But here is a little bit of a chance for Glenn. Can he take it?
Well, he's certainly going to be closer with that, but it's still a long way away from the target. That bowl of Bancroft's hit a bump which may have taken quite a bit out of the running. Yes, it has. Not going to arrive at all.
You're on.
I think they were going at it different hands, Hugh. It'd be worth seeing this one, yes.
Now, Cookie, you surely must get 2 out of this.
Flying. Oh, saved him.
Saved him. Oh. 2. Glenn Cookson.
Cookson, 2.
Well, now, Cookie, chance to put this block in a totally different part of land. And he's not going to go in the direction of Elton and Roy, who watched the block go off the last time he tried to change the land. In fact, he's put it down here below us, our commentary position. Finger peg, round peg mark, slope of the green, dragging it down along with the bias, about 1.5 foot through. John looks heavy and way, way over the top there.
Aye, aye. Aye. Is he beginning to wobble a bit? Is he going to relax? Is he going to take the foot off the pedal?
Well, Cookie has got to start cashing in here. They're not close, but they're closer. That is to say, he's holding 2.
At the moment.
John needs some pegging here to win it, and he's got it. Yes. Right on the button.
Bancroft,
That's
1.
Glyn's wife, Linda. And she's feeling for her old man down there. He is taking a roasting. The way things are going, it only needs West Brom to beat Wolves this afternoon, and that will really destroy Cookie's day.
Turned over and he's trying just to cut inside the Bancroft bowl. They're going at things different hands, strange.
It started to peg in, but then turned away.
It's totally different way.
Well, I would have thought the thumb peg coming down is the safer road.
No.
And again, sticking to finger peg, trying to get it to run straight. It's dropped down way underneath.
That was a mistake.
2 errors, and I think that's probably another 2 2 chalks.
Bancroft, 2.
Yes, it is. 2 more. Well, this is finger licking, finger plucking time for John Banjo Bancroft. He is totally in tune with the conditions out there. That road looks lovely. Close enough to put pressure on Glenn Cookson. Unlucky, Glenn.
Gone out.
Unlucky.
You're 2 foot short. You're on. 2 foot short, he's a yard over.
Mary Ashcroft, a referee who likes to give as much information as the bowlers require, with as much accuracy as she can find.
2, Glenn.
Glenn with 2 to beat. Got surely to save one if he doesn't get the winner. Oh, that's never coming back from there.
Confidence has gone, Hugh.
Cookie is, I'm afraid, already mentally, I think, a destroyed bowler.
Cookie's being grilled, I'm afraid.
Gillian,
Bancroft,
she says, shakes
2.
her head, it's not over yet. Me lad's doing well, me lad's doing well, but it's never over till the fat lady sings. And somebody chalks 21 up on the board. And the way it's going, it won't be very long.
If that happens, Hugh, it then would equal the heaviest defeat.
Yes, that's a tragic piece of history.
It happened to Brian Duncan, of course, didn't it?
Oh, indeed. Yep.
As reigning champion.
Reigning champions have not had a great deal of success in this long-running tournament. This is what, the 14th Bass.
Running off, yes.
And Brian Duncan's the only champion who has ever defended his title successfully. John with a very great deal of correcting to do on the first delivery he put up there. I don't think it's made the trip.
You're on, Glenn. That's a yard short.
Mary Ashcroft confirms it. So whatever happens, Glenn is escaping the business of being the heaviest defeated man, along with Brian Duncan in this tournament. That's a good second bowl, and a lot of applause for Glenn Cookson. Well, he tried a mark down below us. This time he has a little look around.
He's having a little chat. You know why? I think he's going to take him back on his own mark and say, well, this is it. Come on.
No, I think this is a much shorter one, just over the crown. And this will be what? Oh, 35, 40 yards, I suppose. Finger peg, and I'm afraid, Cookie, it has not got the velocity.
2 yards.
John's certainly not planning to be short. Run just a fraction more, and you're on for the final. It's the one Cookie's got to beat. And this bowl, if it doesn't beat it, will signify the end of Glenn Cookson's involvement in this year's tournament, and it has not made the trip. The handshake signifies it, the smile and the puff out from wife Gillian for her husband John Bancroft, who really did bowl out of his skin there. He took a mark across and played it and played it and played it and played it. That was as destructive a performance on a bowls green as you're likely to see. 21 points to John Bancroft. The defending champion was able to find just 5. And there's Elton Wellesby with some pleasing drinks for the two players.
Sorry about that slight microphone, but I'm sure you both will need that. We clocked it out there at one stage at 100 degrees. And it must have been pretty hot for you especially, Glyn. I mean, what on earth happened out there?
Well, John was playing so well and putting him under pressure with his leads. And the longer you go without the jack, the worse it is. I mean, after a while, I just beginning to think I might get stuck on 1, you know. I got a lot in the end, didn't I? I got 5, yeah. Well,
I must say, I thought you took it exceptionally well. You were chatting with John, chatting to the crowd, and I wonder whether you felt when you threw the block off that time, well, that's it, I mean, I can't do anything right.
Well, no, not really. There was still plenty of time left then, but it was that long since I'd sent jack, I didn't know how hard to send it, you know, so I was in trouble, wasn't I, then, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, well, let's talk to the man who really, I mean, that was top class.
Yeah, I've managed to lead some good bowls there, especially going down to this stand end here, and didn't give Glyn much room really. So yeah, I'm thoroughly pleased with the way I played. Yeah.
You don't look it. Are you just exhausted?
It's really hot out there. Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm delighted to have played so well and won, but there's another one to go yet, so I'm not getting too over the moon just yet.
I mean, the game itself, the match itself, was virtually played along one strip of land, wasn't it, both ways?
Well, yeah. I mean, I got a good break going early on, and then Glyn tossed the jack off, so that didn't help his cause. So I was right back on the mark there where I wanted to be. And then I suppose at the end when Glyn got those 2, well, he turned around to me and said, I might as well just go back now and try and get a 16 rate like you've just done. So when you're that far behind, I think sometimes you're low to play a short mark, knowing that the other fella can just go and smack them off. So
I think that's one thing that really came through, Glyn. There was great camaraderie between the two of you on the green. It was nice to see.
Well, me and John have played each other a few times and we're great friends anyway. There's only going to be one winner and you just have to accept it. I mean, it was my turn last year. Hope John goes on and has a great game with Tommy.
Well, Tommy, of course, or Norman. It depends who wins that particular semi-final. I suppose, you know, would you pick one of those two? I mean, if you could hand-pick your final opponent?
Not at this stage, really, no. They're both going to be playing in the corners, that's a certainty, and I've played in the corners in that game, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's on the... Well, it's not on the day, I mean, it's in the final, really, isn't it now, as we say, but no, I have no favourites, really. I would rather play. They're both good players, so it's a hard game, however.
Yeah, I mean, one thing you could say, I think it might be a closer match between Tommy and Norman than yours.
Well, it'll be a battle, you see, because I think they change the corners as well with each other. You know, I think one prefers one way and the other player prefers the other corner, so it might be an interesting game of tactics, that one, yeah.
We're looking forward to it, and we'll be able to see it right after this break. It really is hot here, I tell you. Join us again.
Everyone's a winner with JJB Sports and Lotto. Get right where the action is with the Lotto Area Football Boot. Junior sizes $19.99, senior sizes $29.99. Make a name for yourself. Step into Lotto Albertini Classic Football Boots at a stunning $39.99. And finally, JJB bring you the Lotto Corner Grip Astro Trainer. Unbelievable value at only $29.99.
Everyone's a winner, baby!
The Hyundai Accent. Side impact bars. 3 years unlimited mileage warranty. Front and rear crumple zones. Really very strong crumple zones.
Where are they now? Remember Tub Tubson? Once Hollywood's Mr. Big, he shot to stardom playing huge roles. There was his Titanic debut as the Iceberg. And who could forget his Oscar-winning performance playing a planet?
Put us all in the shade. Until, of course, that terrible business with the chat show.
Tub, isn't that lower-calorie beer you're drinking?
Got a lot of body, just like yours truly.
Oh, they ripped him to shreds. What people didn't realize in those days, it can help slimming or weight control only as part of a calorie-controlled diet.
The industry buried it.
Tubbs now works as a mold for dome beaters in Dawababi. Brought to you by Marston's Low C.
To those men who are always there for others, who pass on traditions, who give their best every day, we give our best. Gillette Sensor Excel. Spring-mounted twin blades that adjust to your face, and soft, flexible microfins that set up your beard. And Gillette Series Shave Gel. There's no better shave gel. Sensor Excel. For the closest, most comfortable shave ever. Gillette, the best a man can get.
Tom, 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 Tom.
Whatever the occasion, Settlers Tums settle Tums.
To see some of the world's most amazing science, come to our new visitors centre at Sellafield. BNFL, where science never sleeps.
So that's what I came back as. Pledge's cleansing conditioners, clean and polished to keep me looking beautiful. Pledge for a supernatural, long-lasting shine.
Is this your bathroom in the morning?
Oh!
Now, add another with Sunnyflow pumping systems. For more details, call free phone Sunnyflow.
The essence of a summer breeze, delicate wild flowers, and a suspicion of herbs. A new fabric conditioner, a wonderful fragrance. New Country Garden, from Comfort.
Welcome back to finals day here at the Bassmasters. We've just seen an absolutely terrific performance by John Bancroft. It's looking a bit ominous, Roy, isn't it? Just looking back and you know, his approach when we were talking to him here on practice day Wednesday. He just wasn't in the mood. He didn't think he was playing well. He didn't like the green, but he's just got better and better.
His confidence has grown after each game, hasn't it? And in that game that we've just seen, he certainly didn't need to take his cap off and look at his famous catchword, never give up. It was never in doubt. On the other hand, you have to feel sorry for Glenn Cookson, but I honestly do not know what happened to him. I've never ever seen anything like that with Glenn Cookson. Normally, he's the man in form, he's very, very good, but he couldn't do anything right in the whole of the game.
I just put it to you that just maybe just to change it, the odd firing shot. I don't know. I mean, what can you do when you're on the rack in those sort of situations?
Well, all the time going into the direction of the south stand, John was playing bowls about 2 feet off, and all Glyn could do was to reach up and hope, and he kept missing. And the further and further he went behind, the worse it got. So much so that in the end, I think to break his own tension, he made a joke of it. And as I said during the course of the game, it was just a case of getting some scores on the board if he could to make it a little bit more respectable.
Very much so. Well, certainly John Bancroft enjoys it in the heat. 100 degrees here this afternoon. It is, isn't it? So what's it like to play? Seriously, have you got to sort of put it out of your mind?
Yes, you know what's going to happen, and you just feel that after the game you're going to have a nice drink. You put it out of your mind because you've got to concentrate all the time, and I think that's what John Bancroft did. One thing about John, his concentration this week has been really on top. He's really done it very, very well.
Okay, well, let's see how the other two semi-finalists perform as we join that match now, right at the very start. They've just started, in fact. Yes, there we go. N Fletcher against Tommy Johnstone, twice a beaten finalist. Will he make it for the third time? Let's hear from Brian.
N Fletcher, then in grey, won the toss, takes the jack. Nobody ever takes the option of handing the jack to his opponent. You win the toss, you take the jack, you pick the land. And no surprise that N Fletcher immediately heads off to the furthest point he possibly can on the green, deep into the corner, 1.5 yards off the edge. Tommy Johnstone then, blue, just improving on the first bowl. Fletcher watches anxiously, may just have cut the road a shade too sharp, but this is running nicely for him. Run on and on. Johnstone, blue disc, is lying with 1, looking for 2. Bow running too much and maybe off the green. In fact, it is just 1. Tommy Johnstone. 1 point first end. It's going to be interesting, Roy Armstrong, isn't it? Because you sense they're going to just test each other first in the corners, and then we'll see who pulls out.
Yeah, that's right. I was fascinated to see how Tommy would react to that first end, but he's sent the jack here, thumb peg over the crown, but he's kept it well out of the corners. He's something like 12 yards out of the corners, and got a very good lead here. I just wonder, he might just give Norman the full corners and just settle for this sort of a distance of about 40 yards.
And he led well, looking to put another one there. Important to get an early feel of the green and use all that green knowledge from practice and practice. Urges the bowl to run on and on. Norman Fletcher didn't wait to ask or to be advised on who was on. It certainly won against him. He fancies the hand, he fancies the mark. He may just peg in now, just through. Well, there's a bit of a shout for two. Could well be two to Tommy Johnson. Let's wait for Norman Fletcher.
No change now. No change.
Have a quick look and
Johnson,
agree. Two, Tommy Johnson. Three-0 the advantage. Two ends played. Push the jack a long, long way. Less than a yard off the edge. Is he pushing his luck? He has. His first bowl is off. Fletcher still to count. Good opportunity.
Yes, Tommy's bowl's actually only gone off with being a little bit on the low side. If it had been on the line, he would have been about a foot off the jack.
Well, Fletcher's learned from that, Roy, because he's finished 2.5, maybe 3 foot off the jack, but certainly counting. Johnson. Similar line to his first bowl, and it's going to end up the same place, so that Fletcher, if this goes off, will not need to send his. It stayed, and at the moment, it's won it. So Norman Fletcher had a bit of a sighter with the Johnson bowl if he wants to try and rest on it. Ideally, he wants to get a bit of pegging and move towards the jack, but he's run through and out, and Tommy Johnson gets away with it.
Johnston won.
Another single. Tommy Johnson. Three successive winning ends to open this semi-final for a 4-0 advantage.
And this is just the start that anyone would want. It settles you down, and I'm a great believer. I think if you start a game by going a reasonable distance, if the game should change and you have to go back on short lengths, you'll find your length so much quicker.
Well, it was Norman Fletcher who started very brightly in his quarter-final against Paul Strutt, building a lead of 11-3. What a good lead from Tommy Johnson. This the length, the direction that really Norman Fletcher wouldn't object to. This is trying hard for him. Can it get there? Can it run and run enough? Yes, what a good bowl. Difficult to beat, Roy.
Yes, he's just got to play a yard over. He can sit on that bowl.
Well, he's got a good line, good road, and some pegging now.
Unlucky.
A little bit of danger, I suppose, but Norman will be well aware of all that, holding one.
Yes, he'll try for it, but he'll just be a little bit on the low side. If he gets a length, he's a good chance of making two, though.
He's certainly trying. He's given it a shot, isn't he? Giving it a try. Has it done it? Is that enough? A brave shot.
Fletcher won.
Just the one. Gets him on the card. At 1-4, Norman Fletcher elects to come back in on the same diagonal. Is he playing this the different hand, Roy?
Yes, he's playing this thumb peg, keeping the jack well in from the corner in a very safe position over the crown, and this is coming to one of the faster parts of the green. Mustn't be on the low side, which Norman has done. He's just on the bottom side, but he's picked a good length.
It was just a shade low coming off the crown, and by the time it arrived, it looked a good yard adrift. Tommy, can he learn from that? Looks to have a better line. Just inside the Fletcher bowl, splits the difference. Good. And this is a much tighter line taken by Fletcher. Much nicer road in. What a good bowl. They're just beating each other shot for shot.
And I think you'll see Tommy Johnstone here play one of his through shots. He's become very adept at these through shots, but no, he's going to strike at it.
He's going to try and take out the Fletcher bowl or jack. It matters not. So long as he makes contact, looks well wide. All the way through. Just leave the one.
Fletcher one.
Two, 4 off the mat. Fletcher looking longingly into the corner. Heads back. Not going fully, is he, Roy?
No, he's playing finger peg below the crown, keeping it quite safe so that he can play behind the jack and count. Jack just dropped down a little bit there. This is about 40 yards.
Well, he likes it. He's gone marching after it, and in this heat, he doesn't want to waste too much energy, but he likes it, and that's why. What a good lead. And that's going to be difficult to disturb. Tommy certainly can't be short. Running, wants the jack. Well, it's very handy there.
It's a well-played ball, isn't it?
Yes.
It's nearly 2 feet past.
Just behind, and there for Tommy's second ball.
Tactics. Norman just looked as though he'd gone a shade low. Coming back now with the bias. They wanted to run and run. Now Tommy will need to know how many against him. Referee David Fishwick advises just the one against him.
And this is one of Tommy's through shots. He's playing 3 yards through, hoping for the jack, but I think he's on the low side.
Low, Roy, isn't he? Yeah. Might almost have contacted with the second Fletcher ball, but it's one to the grey of Norman Fletcher. Three-4. That's 3 successive singles to Fletcher after Johnson started 1-2-1 for a 4-0 advantage, and we come back. Fletcher just moving the jack around. He's gone for distance this time. The gloves are off. We're going all the way. Well, nearly.
Norman playing with his favourite wooden bowls. They're 212.5. These are the biggest bowls in the championship. Tommy Johnstone has opted to play with his composition bowls. He acquired these bowls in June from a Glasgow manufacturer, and he's been very, very successful with them. He's taken a real liking to them, and he actually won a pairs championship on this green with his wife Karen.
Who is a top lady bowler, of course. Still, Fletcher with one. His line seems tighter. Will it hold? Oh, that's a good bowl. That's a good bowl. Good length. There's 2 against Tommy. Similar line, just caught a little bit of rough land on the way. Might take some of the running out. And you may not even save. No, 2.
Fletcher 2.
Norman Fletcher very quickly onto this, the 8th end, with a 5-4 advantage. Roy, he's looking a bit machine-like at the moment.
Yes, I thought Norman this morning was back to his best. He's looking a bit mean and hungry, and you're quite right. He's definitely speeded the game up, I think both he and his pairs partner Brian Duncan believe that when you're chalking you should play as quickly as possible, just to put your opponent off a little bit.
Well, Tommy comes from a similar school, he'll know all about that. It's all about the jack and leading, isn't it, Roy, on this green?
Oh yes, and Tommy, you know, he's probably the most popular player with crowds and with the other players on the circuit. He's so modest and unassuming, everybody warms to him.
He's a great trier, and you feel that you get a run for your money if you were to back him. Norman is really playing the green now. You only got to stop, only got to stop. How many against Tommy Johnstone?
That last ball's favourite.
So he's on the way. Deceptive style, just strokes them out nicely all the way across the green, over the crown, now dropping, trying to wedge and find a way through. Just took the running out. May just be the one.
Thanks, please.
What are we measuring for, Roy? Is it 1 or 2?
Yeah, I think Norman's
measuring for
1
1
against
now.
2, Tom.
1 against 2.
1 against 2.
1 against 2.
Yeah. Measurers. Peter Lawn on the right from Knutsford. Arthur Scowcroft from Eccles on the left. One of the Fletcher balls now, Johnson. Johnson again.
Fletcher up!
Yep. One more, Norman Fletcher. Quite a battle, Norman Fletcher, getting to the semi-final stage. Had to put out 3 very young players, Roy. When you look at that, that's David Thornley, Lee Lawton, Paul Strutt, and now he's facing Tommy Johnstone.
Yes, one of the fascinating things to me about all these players is how young they were when they first started playing. They all seem to start playing about age 10 or 12. You look at Norman now, and
yes,
he's been playing for 40 years, you know. He's been playing since he was age 10, and Tommy's been playing since he was age 14. So they've got a lot of years of experience packed in there.
I think for quite a long time, Norman was up there at the top, playing on a professional panel, but certainly over the last few years, Tommy has come through to earn a tremendous reputation as a top-class player. And how do the bookmakers split these two?
Well, fascinatingly, the bookmakers have Norman Fletcher the outsider. It just shows, as you rightly say, how much progress Tommy has made. He's become very, very mature. Tommy is actually 2-1 for the championship, and Norman Fletcher is 3-1. Norman Fletcher was evens on the heat, and Tommy was 4-6.
4-6, and he really needs to count at this end. Now then, they go very quickly there. Fletcher conceded very quickly the one that Tommy needed.
I think ideally Tommy would prefer to be in these corners. These are the corners that he played in his previous games, and he's playing finger peg here. He's playing round peg, the bias towards the ditch, going down the side of the green. Jack's about 10 yards in, swings round, the aiming point's about 4 feet to the right.
He'll be glad to have counted, because Fletcher had just had 5 successive winning ends. Spun the game around from 4-0 to 6-4, and then that 1 point 6-5 in Fletcher's favour. Johnson trying for the opposite corners. Needs this end, needs to count, wants some work from the bowl to drop down with the bias. The length bowl, it's just about counting. Big change in distance. Fletcher, much narrower line in. Needs to promote his own stopping time. It's not, it's gone out. Has he left one?
Johnstone one.
Yes. All square. 6 across. 10th end, and we've been playing 16 minutes in blistering heat. And as you rightly predicted, Roy Ompson, he wanted the other diagonal.
Yes, this is where Tommy likes to. He plays it thumb peg here, not right in the corner, just about 38 yards. And when I was down on the green at lunchtime there, Brian, the heat has certainly made a difference to the green. The last 4 days' sunshine, the green is browning up in one or two places. Pretty soon it'll be about 4 yards faster than it's been prior to today.
But they're still getting them quite close, Roy, aren't they? They read and they adjust.
Yes, when they get to this stage, when they get to the semi-final stage, they've played a lot of balls on the green, and the green has gone into the computer of the mind so that they're in tune with it wherever they go.
And it is at this sort of stage in a competition that quality counts. Is in this hit? No, he's unlucky. He just needed a connection. Fletcher. Just a little more running required. And a little stop any time now is worth
Fletcher
two. Norman Fletcher. (8-6) the advantage. And going back, Roy probably going a little further.
Yes, Norman's going in the corner where Tommy would have gone actually, but Norman's gone the other peg. Norman's gone thumb peg here. Jack's only 4 feet on, there's not much behind, so I think you'll find Norman trying to play just short of the jack here.
Anything past might just be bad news. This looks a good bowl, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
What a bowl.
What a lead.
What a bowl. Oh! Beat that. Oh, what do we do now? Get one there or thereabouts, and then a bit of heavy artillery with the second.
Yes, Tommy's actually gone finger peg. He's gone the other way in at this. This is the peg that Tommy prefers, but it's going to be near, but I think Norman might just get another.
Well, he needs to put another in and say to Tommy Johnson, there you are, son, pick the bones out of that. Yes, back to thumb pegging. Looking now. Yep, holding two. Tommy Johnstone, the strike option, very difficult in any event, he's out.
He's still on finger peg.
He's got to disturb something, Roy. If he's far enough, he's unlucky. He's unlucky.
Well, unlucky there, but some quality bowls being played by Tommy and Norman. This is developing into a really classic semi-final. We're only going away for a couple of minutes. You won't miss a thing.
Accent. Side impact bars. 3 years unlimited mileage warranty. Front and rear crumple zones. Really very strong crumple zones.
Whatever happened to the Great Iceland giveaway?
It's back. For 3 weeks only, you get 4 crunchy ice creams worth $1.99 absolutely free when you buy Bird's Eye fish fingers at the Great Iceland giveaway.
At Britannia, we'll bend over backwards to help our customers.
Well, we were first-time buyers.
It wasn't a straightforward mortgage, and we needed someone to explain things and look after us.
When we went to the Britannia, they arranged everything for us. I mean, they were brilliant. I don't think we could have asked for anybody better than the Britannia.
That bit was easy, but then we did the DIY. Oh dear. We could have done with a bit of help on that too.
That was it. That was exactly what she was doing. Just like that.
For your free Britannia guide to mortgages and home buying, call 0800 44 33 22.
After shaving, the alcohol in an ordinary aftershave won't put out the fire. New Old Spice Cooling Sensation contains less alcohol and a unique blend of cooling sensates that refresh and cool your face. New Old Spice Cooling Sensation turns the heat of shaving into pure freshness.
Play Esso Drive Time and you could win one of millions of prizes. In fact, anything from free weekend breaks to travel offers to one of 10 Lotus Esprits. And put your life in the fast lane.
Those new yogurts, your supplies, they're electrifying.
St Ivel Shape Extra Fruit.
You know Daz is good value, but did you know just how good? Especially when compared to some other leading brands. We asked people what they thought.
Top brand names, there's not much difference in price. Maybe a couple of pennies here and there. There probably isn't much difference.
So what's the actual difference? It could be as much as this.
30p? Oh, I didn't think it'd be as much as that.
Goodness, wow. I didn't expect it to be quite as much and buy me an extra loaf of bread.
Check Daz yourself against other leading brands. For whiteness and value, use your loaf.
One of these men had grey hair just 5 minutes ago. Can you guess which one used the hair colouring discovery called Just for Men? Simply apply and in 5 minutes rinse for a truly natural look. So who used Just for Men?
I did, in just 5 minutes.
Bring back the look of your own natural colour with Just for Men.
Welcome back. Not a lot's changed since you've been away. Tommy with the block, but Norman still with the lead, Roy.
Yes, it's a really great battle, isn't it, you know, and they're not going anywhere else but other than this distance, and it's a long, long way, you know, you're talking about 42 yards here, and here's Tommy now playing finger peg, coming down off the top of the crown. I think he's got a good ball here.
Just that little extra roll that doesn't make it certain he's going to win the end.
Yes, it's only within a yard, it's sort of get-atable. And Norman, I think he's just going to be outside, that's just the peg taking it away. Good length ball.
The green shudders as Tommy follows his bowl. Think he fancies it?
Good one, isn't it? Coming round the back now. Oh, yes. Yes, Tommy's in for two. Look at Norman chasing after his ball now. Yeah, he's really after it. He's really animated. He doesn't usually chase bad balls, Norman.
Oh, he's kicked
it. He knew it was short.
He knew it was short and kicked it in. I think we'll just emphasise that was a bit of fun, Roy.
Oh, yeah. Yes, obviously, if he'd done that in the game, he would have been...
Brian?
Another two there to Tommy Johnstone. We're 11 across. And Roger Morgan there just reminded us of the quality of last season's tournament and his semi-final against Glenn Cookson. Memorable. Well, we have quite a classic building here, Roy. Can you split them?
No, I can't.
No. Who wins? We just don't know.
Could be a 20-20.
That would be marvellous, wouldn't it? Because this really is high quality bowling in steamy conditions. Very, very hot out there. In cricket they call for a drinks break. I don't know that we can have that in Crown Green Bowls, can we? But the boys are going to dive off, I'm sure, at some stage and try and grab a can of Coke or something.
Yes, just at the previous end when Tommy played that through ball and connected with Norman, there was a little bit of chit-chat between them. Norman thought that Tommy was a bit lucky. He thought he would have left two and with a miss, but these two get on very well. There's a lot of respect between them, and you'll find them after the game having a drink in the bar afterwards. That's the way it should be.
The winner will pay. I wonder who. Norman Fletcher, the perfectionist, stays on the footer, watching this a long, long way. Watching anxiously, hoping he gets some reward from the bowl, which now goes through. Changes nothing, because Tommy Johnstone has got another single.
And Norman now taking a long time to bring that footer up, slowed the game down quite measurably. You can notice that now. When he's chalking, he's very quick, but just now he's slowing it down.
Well, that's not a bad tactic, is it, Roy? It's the old professional player. Knows his way around the green. He's been in this situation many times. It won't disturb Tommy at all, any of this. Well, he just plays his game. I mean, win or lose, Tommy is the same.
Yes, as we've said, Tommy is now a very mature player, and he's become extremely consistent. And one thing about him that has impressed me over the last 3 years is that he's become very careful with his second bowl. And there, he's been very careful with his first bowl.
It's a beautiful lead.
Norman's gone the other way. He's gone thumb peg.
He thinks he might just be able to get some reward from this land, but not quite. But he's got a back bowl. It's a long way off should he decide to strike. A lot will depend on where the jogging Tommy Johnstone finishes with this one. Getting closer and closer, not too close. Moves away from the bowl, but he likes it. Just needs to run. I'm not sure that it's counted. I think it's one. Only one. Tommy very quickly signal one to Norma, so that if Norma wanted to have a crack at this, and it's a long way, Roy,
yes.
And the short bowl is a bit of a nuisance,
yes,
isn't it?
he's having a go, though. Striking thumb peg at it.
No, I couldn't get at it. Couldn't get at it. Another single. Tommy Johnstone. At 13-11, you still really can't put a lot of money down on this, but I did notice that when Tommy was playing Roy Moxham, if you recall, Roy, he was a long way down in that, wasn't he? 11-3 down, but even then he didn't look a loser.
Yes, he gets in those situations, but he believes that if he keeps playing, as long as he keeps playing the right shots, he's a chance. But that ball had a very, very rough passage. Just about 8 yards in front of where the mat is, there's the roughest part of the green, and Tommy couldn't quite negotiate that.
Yes, it's taken two good yards out of the running. I think Norma missed it, so he should get a clearer path through. If he can miss the first bowl. Yep, found a way through. And that time, I think Tommy missed it as well. So with clear running, get past his first shorter bowl. Oh. Unlucky. Certainly one to Norman Fletcher. Got a bit of a bobble then, but now running towards the jack. Is it far enough? I think not. But can he just work through now? Yes, surely. 2, Fletcher. (13-13). 19 ends. Half an hour they've been going, and out on the green it's 95 degrees. Fletcher then, looking for a lead, all the way across, still corners, taking each other on. Tommy, thumb peg, now down. Well, it's sticking out. It didn't do what he wanted, it didn't do what he asked. Fletcher doesn't wait. He's on the way. He's got a different road altogether. And if his length is right, yes, that sorted it out. That's won it at the moment. Johnstone just strokes these out. Deceptive style. Thumb peg now. He's just slightly altered the line, looking for a bit of a swing, which he may just get. Whether it's enough, we shall soon find out. Both players will want to have a look at this. Referee has decided Fletcher, 1. Fletcher has a little bit of revenge also involved here, because when Tommy Johnstone qualified by winning the Rawcliffe Classic at Kirkham, in the semi-final he beat Robert Crawshaw 21-10, and then in the final he did Brian Duncan, who's Norman's pairs partner, 21-20 after being 16-8 ahead, Roy, and 17-20 down.
Yes, that just shows you what can happen.
Well, that's Tommy Johnstone, a real roller coaster of a player.
Well, this is like almost like a boxing match, isn't it? You know,
Yes.
they're trading punch for punch, these two.
Yes. And on points, Fletcher's 1 ahead. We hope it's going to go the distance. We're hoping this might just be a 2020 classic. Gone through, Tommy Johnstone. So Fletcher now walking wearily across this green, angry with himself. Tommy Johnstone. Oh, he's having a run. He's the younger man. Look at him go right across the green. Likes it. Go on. Well, that's why. 2 to blue. (15-14), and you may as well forget the rest of the green, because they're going to go straight back on the diagonal, right across, corner to corner.
So once again, Tommy's gone finger peg. He's got the jack a little bit over to the right this time, near the marquees. But watching these two battle it out in these corners are making me tired. I'm just wondering whether... I'm just longing for someone to go about 25 yards.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that one went about half a yard further than intended. I think a couple of ends ago, when Norman set the mark here, Tommy was going at it thumb, looking for some pegging, Roy. He never got it, did he?
Norman's learnt off that ball now.
Yes.
He's got a good one here.
It is a good ball, isn't it? It's an education, this game. You watch your opponent, you learn from your opponent, and then you deliver. Tommy Johnstone with a 1 chalk advantage, but it's against him at this end. As he learned, is his line better? His swing now with the bias away to the right of the jack. Fletcher knows he's got a great chance of 2. If it will run just that little bit further for him. Oh, yes.
Fletcher,
Yes. 2 Norman Fletcher. Oh, 2 cracking bowls from Fletcher there.
Little different body language there too from Norman. Had his little customary jog in the middle of the green on the way to putting the mat down and starting off the end again. Here we go again, back into the corner.
And again, about 8 yards from the footer, there is a little bit of rough land that caught the jack. Fletcher missed it with the first ball. Now then. Doesn't look at all bad, this one. That's all right when you think of the distance involved. Pressure immediately on Johnstone, and he's responded. But that one caught it, Roy, didn't it?
That caught it, yes. It jumped twice in the air, that ball. That's no chance of arriving.
Can't arrive. It's pulling up at the previous stop. It did better than perhaps expected. Fletcher missed it. Just got a little one further up, though. There's still a few bumps around. The weather might just have improved the condition of the green. Oh, the shout too from a long way out, but it's going to run, you know.
He's 18 inches at the back.
Again, Johnstone hit the same patch. It takes some running out. It's trying for him, isn't it? Even despite all the rough land, he had to negotiate a way through.
Fletcher, 1.
1 against him. 1 more, Norman Fletcher. (17-15) Fletcher with the jack. across the green. They can rope the rest of the green off. This is the battleground. The battle lines have been drawn up. It's corner to corner. They're slugging it out. Wants a lot of running in this bowl. Fletcher waves it on. Well, finished a yard short. Good yard short. Tommy Johnstone trails by 2. It can all change if this ball arrives. If this one goes in, well, it's better. It's better. Fletcher not quite as quick then. He just took his time, picked his moment as he picked his land. Or is he overweight? Runs quickly away there. Johnson's on for 1. He knows the importance of this because he's going to jog after this one. He wants to see it arrive. He wants to be there. Done it. Done it for 2. Johnstone.
Johnstone 2.
All square, 17 across, 24 ends, 38 minutes of play. How long's a bowling match, you tell me? Here's a change, Roy.
Yes, I think this is sensible of Tommy now. He's bringing Norman thumb peg down to the fastest part of the green. Only playing about 30 yards here.
The danger being that he may take some running out, but I think he's got this absolutely right, you know. Oh, that's quality. That is quality. Fletcher. Looks similar running. Now then, the audience build with the response to this one. Good bowl, but it's second.
You're on, Tommy.
They're just exchanging a few words. Look at them. A couple of dry comments as they passed each other there, Roy.
Yes, Tommy's looking at this very carefully because ideally he would like to count 2 because his own ball is very exposed, but he doesn't want to make too big a target.
No, but he's gone for it, hasn't he? He's going to put another one in. Let it drop now. Off the crown, down. Tommy's there, looking, admiring. Oh, yes. Oh, it is 2 against Norman.
Yes, Norman will strike at these.
A long think about it, Roy. It's not an easy strike, is it? It's more of a controlled running bowl.
I'm surprised.
He's turned over and he's gone with a little control weight. He can't get up, surely. He can't get up there. Oh dear, he's left it. Another 2. Tommy Johnstone. Well, that was a surprise. 2 minds?
Well, I thought he would have struck at those. I thought that man very surprised, but he went for the ambitious shot. He went to try and run the jack through to his bowling count 2, but got on the low side. And here's Tommy now, going back into the corner from whence he came, playing round peg, finger peg, bias towards the ditch. He's playing about 32 yards here. Vital end for both of them.
Well, Tommy can get up here, can't he? 19-17, needs 2 for a place in the final. Tommy Johnstone. Lead looks okay, you know. He likes this. Look at him standing there watching this. Yeah. That's all right. Jogs back because he wants to turn around and see the course of this Fletcher bowl. Well. Oh. Just settled back and is not counting. Tommy Johnstone needing 2, holding 1. Tremendous game of bowls. Got to be absolutely right with it, Tommy. It's running downhill, it's quickening. Can it get in and count another? Needs to know. They think so. Needs to know. Norman waits. 19-17, the scoreboard. 2 against him. Tommy Johnstone lies for game. So out it comes. The strike. He's got something, but he's got his own. Oh, it's gone right against him. Oh, how unlucky can you get? It's gone absolutely against Storming Norman and leaves a relieved Tommy Johnstone. A grateful winner, a super winner. What a game of bowls, 26 compelling ends, and eventually Tommy gets out at 21-17, but my goodness, they matched each other shot for shot. You sometimes feel sorry when somebody loses, but Tommy Johnstone knows he's been in one heck of a semi-final.
And a heck of a final in prospect as well. Tommy Johnstone, wonderful victory against J Bancroft. Right, back here at the Rakes Hotel, in the middle of the green, that is. We're about to introduce to the crowd, you're all ready, our special guest this afternoon, who's appearing in Blackpool this summer season, and what a marvellous summer it's been as well. A man of many voices, fabulous guy, Mr. Les Dennis.
Just been giving a pep talk there, Elton, to Tommy and John.
Yeah?
Yeah, oh yeah, they're psyching each other out. They're actually arguing about football now.
Are they?
Yeah.
Well, they support, I thought they support the same team, didn't they?
They support, do they? Which team's that?
Well, John's certainly Manchester United.
Is he?
Yeah.
There's 3 of them over there as well. Anybody? Liverpool? Best team ever,
Everton? Oh, well, that went down like a lead balloon.
And of course, Mavis is here today, of course. She hasn't come for the bowl. She's come along looking to see if anybody's nicked the gnome from Derek.
Very popular, of course, bowls on Coronation Street. Percy plays...
Oh, Percy Sugden, yes, very, very interested in bowls. Being the vigilante of the street, yes, interested in bowls and other things beginning with B.
Yes, that's a bit slow catching on to that one, but I got it. Listen, Family Fortunes, I mean, that's another thing that you're very, very well known for. I mean, you must get some pretty lousy answers on that show.
Do you know, we actually auditioned those families. They're the best. Some of the answers to the questions, a popular way of cooking fish, cod. And I have to stand there and not laugh, you know, because the producer says encourage them, tell them it's a good answer. So I go, yeah, good answer. We had a woman, what was it? Name something other than doors you open. She said, your bowels, Les.
I tell you what, some mothers do have them, don't they?
Oh, yes. Oh, of course, you remember, Dad, I used to do the old Frank impression.
Because Elton was actually there at my first gig, weren't you? Compare.
Actually introduced
He had long hair and a big velvet jacket on. 1974, we were both 12, weren't we, Elton?
Well, you certainly weren't much older than 12. I think I got a few years on you yet.
Oh, well.
But they were good days, weren't they?
They were great days, yeah, back there at the old Shaky Club, the Shakespeare in Liverpool. Great place.
That's right. We had this, ladies and gentlemen, everyone at home, we heard that this young schoolboy was going to come on and do some impressions. I think you were 14 at the time, and we thought, oh, crikey, who's booked this, you know? And then on he came, and he did Frank Spencer, and he just pulled the place apart.
Yeah, and it went on from there. And now I'm here at the bowls.
You enjoying it? You've been watching. You love all sports, don't you?
I love all sports, yeah. And it's been really good standard today, isn't it? And those two guys are going to have one hell of a final, I think.
I think it's going to be probably one of the best finals we've had for many, many years, because I think you'd agree, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, the standard we've seen today has just been absolutely incredible.
He's come right in on me now. What's this? Hello. Mum. Hello, Mum. How are you?
She'll be watching.
Yeah, she'll be watching. Yeah.
Right, so what are your plans for the summer? How long are you here in Blackpool?
Oh, that's it. I've come to plug that as well. We're here at the North Pier Theatre. Anybody seen us yet? Good show? No? The North Pier Theatre. I'm there with Sue Pollard and Roy Walker. We're there till November the 4th, right through to the end of the light. So come and see us. Book early.
Is Sue as zany as she appears?
Sue is great. She's mad. The first time I worked with her, when we were rehearsing, we were kind of going back to the rehearsals after lunch, and she just said, hang on a minute. And she went over to this door and knocked on the door. She said, run! She just was playing Knockdown Ginger. You know, and we're running down the street, and this fella came out, and he's like, what's going on? I said, it was her fault. She's just like that, you know, she's like that all the time. She's brilliant, great fun.
Are you working on any new impressions at all?
I do a few impressions in the show. Do the Mitchell brothers from EastEnders. Do you think they could talk any quieter? Hey, I can't hear them. It's like, all right, bruv? Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, Sharon loves me, and I love Sharon, but we're letting each other go. And you get the remote control out and turn it up, and it cuts to a scene with Ricky. Bianca!
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to pop into the hut to see the lads. Give him a big round of applause. Thanks for coming down, Les. Les Dennis, everybody. Thank you. Come this way. Finals, well, about to start. That was a tough one that you had, Tommy, against Norman, wasn't it?
Yeah, super game, yeah. He's a tough player, Norman, and I'm sure John was just as tough.
both of them were excellent semi-finals, John, weren't they? But in different ways, because yours, well, one has to say, and it's no disrespect to Glyn, it was a bit of a runaway.
Well, I hope the final's the same way, but I doubt it very much it will be. Obviously, Tom's a top-class player, so may the best man win.
Tom, twice before in the final, you've lost on both occasions. Are you hoping it's going to be third? Well, you're hoping. Do you think it might be third time lucky?
Well, there's 50-50 chance, like, just win or lose, don't you?
You're getting accustomed to the green?
Yes, I suppose as the week's gone by, like in a competition, the standard's getting higher and higher as the players are getting more and more used to the conditions and the speed and the running the green, etc. Yeah.
And what about the heat and the tension together combined, Tom?
It's all right. It's all right. Just
right,
nice.
5:30, the final. Join us then. Bye-bye.
I think over the year, probably John's not played as well as what he normally has, but he always seems to come good in this event, so you've got to pick Bancroft.
I wouldn't like to back any of them, no. They're both hell of a good players and it's going to be a cracking final.
I think I just favour John Bancroft. He was in absolutely irresistible form in the semi-final. That was as near to perfection as I've seen him play, so I'll just edge for John. I think he's peaked at the right time, and he is the man for the big occasion.
Oh, I think it's going to be a real good final, this.
You wouldn't want to stick your neck out?
Yes, I just fancy Tommy Johnson. This is an even money bet, really. But we're giving you the option of taking your challenge. We're taking the odds for the challenge.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here at the Rakes and everyone at home, welcome to the final of the 1995 Bassmasters. And what a final in prospect it is. The bookies can't split them, opinions divided right around the green. And who can blame them, because it really is a final of enormous quality. They've both been in the final before. One has won it twice, one has lost twice in the final of the Bassmasters down the years. So it's going to be a real cracker. So welcome, first of all, from the top half of the draw, John Bancroft. Twice Bassmasters champion. Now to a man who's lost twice in the final. Will it be third time lucky? From the bottom half of the draw, Tommy Johnstone. OK, we'll do this alphabetically. John, do you want to call? Heads. Heads is called. Heads it is. The referee is Terry Ashcroft. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the final.
So this whole week of anticipation, expectation, now this is the big money moment. £7,500 at stake for the winner here, plus that magnificent trophy. And to have his name chalked up as the winner of the 14th final of the Bassmasters. John Bancroft strides after his first bowl. He won the toss, so he sets the first mark. Tommy Johnson playing in grey, curiously enough, for the very first time in the tournament. And it doesn't matter whether they're grey or blue, Tommy can still stroke them up there. John Bancroft with a cracking bowl to beat. Run a bit, run a bit, run a bit. Banjo reckons he's on. Tommy. Reaching, wanting to hit. Well, he hit all right.
Bancroft, one.
And so, the very first chalk of the 1995 final goes up on the board, and it's alongside the name of John Bancroft. The bookies couldn't split him, Brian, but I know you haven't had a dabble on the final, but if you had, where would your money have gone?
Just, I think, with John Bancroft, because I think he's been the most focused and the most informed and the most comfortable bowler. of the week, but it's a bit like Blackpool Rock, isn't it? This, it's got quality stamped all the way through it. You certainly can't write Tommy Johnstone off.
Well, Tommy is certainly long overdue for a bit of the big money here in the Bassmasters. 1987, taken out at the final by Chris MacDonald. That's John Bancroft's closest friend, I suppose, Chris MacDonald. And then in 1992, taken out by Brian Duncan. Oh, John! He put the fluence on that one, didn't he? A little bit of backside wriggled at the back end. Too strong underneath.
Bancroft, 1.
So another single to John Bancroft. And right behind him, looking over his shoulder at the moment, his wife Gillian, in that corner, in the sunshine, really enjoying it. John's father, Neville, standing just behind his daughter-in-law. And this, the long, long mark that John Bancroft used to totally destroy Glyn Cookson in the semi-final. Oh, what a dreadful lead. Now that is very unlike him. Tommy will be all right for distance, but needs some pegging in that bowl. He's got it. John, he will do well to get really close to the block now, although that's pegging nicely for him. The road is right. Unlucky John. He just improved the position of Tommy Johnson. Got to be careful here, though. Now, how's that got running? It's looking very, very good indeed. Yes! Wow. Well, they forecast this as a cracker of a final. And already we're beginning to see it. Those were two superb bowls.
When you think of the distance involved, Hugh, one was good enough, but then to couple up, oh, that's a bit cheeky, isn't it? A nice connection for two. Not wasting any time, Tommy Hugh, either. He's going back on the same mark. Well, he played this well in the semi-final, didn't he, himself?
Oh, he did. He did indeed. And you get the feeling that, again, it's a heavyweight battle between two lads who like to chuck them a long way. Support around the green, I think, equally balanced for the two finalists. Run a bit, Tom, run a bit. Probably on for two at the moment. Underneath needs to do some pegging now. And stop. Well.
It's whether he's saved, isn't it? Tommy looks to have one.
Johnson.
Two. And of course, Tommy showing that he has no fears of the Bancroft mark, which I think is what we can call it after his exhibition against Glyn Cookson. just gone out.
Hard enough, Tommy.
Little warning then for running close to the bowl from referee Terry Ashcroft. Not allowed to get within 1 metre of the running bowl. And Tommy stopped as soon as the warning came up. He's holding 2. John is trickling, yes! And that signal, that triumphant finger in the air, is the mark of a man who's really hyped up for this. Again, it's distance. There's a thumb peg mark. The bias against the slope of the green. So in effect, it's more straight peg than anything else. Oh, the running. Probably just made the trip. Banjo needs to get inside his own bowl, but he's very, very low. The Johnson bowl, the grey bowl is on. Much narrower line, much tighter line.
Johnson!
And he's got 2 out of it. Tommy Johnstone. Man City versus Man United. Tommy, Man City. Main Road man, John Bancroft. Old Trafford and Manchester United. And oh, what a beauty from Tommy Johnstone. Just tickled against the block and sat down gently, what, 10, 12 inches behind? 10 inches behind. Bancroft hasn't found it with that one. This is not as confident a start from John Bancroft, Brian, as we had in his semi-final against Glenn Cookson.
Well, I hope he saved a few of those shots here and not played them all, because Tommy really is not bothered about the reputation Bancroft has built on this mark and on this green. Exceptional start by Tommy Johnstone. He's here again, is it?
No, that's stayed well out. Those are 2 of the worst bowls that John Bancroft has bowled for a long time.
Looking again for 2. Clearly the winner. Are we having a measure?
Pegs, please.
Yeah, I think John would like a measure anyway to have a little restful period to recompose his thoughts. Feeling that he might need to look inside his hat before very long.
This one first, and here, this one. Just try this one, please. It's one you come to. Might not be a lot in it. Just could be favourite. Yeah.
The writing, if you haven't been watching some of our earlier programs, inside the hat says, never give up, never give up, never give up. once again. Both these bowlers could remove 90% of this green at the Talbot, at the rakes, where indeed the Talbot is held, and just work on this one tiny strip from corner to corner.
You could almost position a referee in either corner just to save him walking 100 yards backwards and forwards. Cap.
Might just have won it, I wonder. Tommy wants to know. Terry Ashcroft will tell us in just a moment.
First bowl up, Tommy
First
Johnson.
bowl up, Tommy Johnson's bowl.
He won't move until he's asked, Hugh. He'll stand there and wait for them to ask. He doesn't want to move and disturb anybody.
Well, they're waving that one through in that corner. The bookmakers and the punters.
And nearest to the pub.
Nearest to the pub, that's where the biggest voices come up. Now, Banjo. Oh, you haven't put anything into that. Well, that's got to be just one more for Tommy Johnstone.
Johnson, one.
Well, one of the people in that corner who got a very close view of that rather poor bowl that John Bancroft put up that left him in an 8-3 down situation is John Bancroft's father, Neville, himself a cracking bowler who started his son on the path to the top. I wonder what his reactions are as he talks to Alistair Mann.
Neville, for the first time in a few games, John's just not quite there at the moment, is he?
No, he's just off the boil at the moment after a fantastic performance, really, in the semi-final. Tommy's playing a similar mark, but he's just altered it that yard where John was coming off the crown. Tommy's pushing it underneath, and he's got John struggling at the moment. We're still in with a chance and a long way to go in the game yet, but at the moment Tommy is holding the initiative.
There's no danger perhaps that after a game so ruthless as that in the last round that perhaps he might have peaked in the semi?
Well, that could be so, Alistair. Every game's a one-off. You can't put these balls close to the jack just as you want them, and when the other man's holding command, it's hard to get back in. So we'll just have to keep trying hard and hope that eventually we pick the game up again.
Well, that's the view of a pretty good bowler in his own right, Neville Bancroft. The Bancroft view is that let's turn it round, John.
Thanks, Alistair, and indeed I'm pretty darn sure that the cry from his dad, Neville, has been answered. Banjo has turned it round. He's picked up a single. So he's four behind. And now there's an illustration of the pressure that John has been put under by Tommy Johnstone. John Bancroft has changed the mark on which he was bowling so supremely well in the semi-final. And this one a little curler. About 25 yards, I suppose.
It's sensible tactics, isn't it? But you've got to lead when you change these marks. Otherwise...
Well, it's a little curly thumb peg. The grey bowl's gone out. Going up towards the crown. And now asking the crown to assist the bias to run down.
No.
No, no, no. Weight was wrong. John is on at the moment, but Tommy, with this bowl, could change all that. It's all about running now. Run a bit more. That'll do. Yes. Now, Tom, the Piper's son, whistled that one down the hill nicely, didn't he? (9-4). TJ is in front. It's Father George, and he's dead interested. Big bowling family, his uncle, both grandfathers, his brother and his wife, Karen. Lots of bowls interests in the Johnson family. And Tommy's given John Bancroft a chance here because his lead was not good. But Banjo hasn't really put pressure on Tommy with that bowl. It's got the running. What about the road? Couldn't be better.
Important now that John is told whether it's 1 or 2 because it's well within good striking distance. Could be 2. Might change his mind. Oh no, it's 1. Oh.
Only 1, John.
Terry Ashcroft. That bowl running almost dead straight. Now, what's he hit? Oh,
clipped his own.
He clipped his own bowl. Had to creep round it.
Is it still 1?
Well, if it was only 1 before, I think the additional nick that the blue ball took would have ensured that it stayed at 1. So 10-4, Tommy in the lead. And nobody in the game, I suppose, could deny that Tommy Johnstone is one bowler who deserves the ultimate success here in the Bassmasters. Twice he's gone all the way through to the final, but twice he's missed out. And Roy Orbison and Elton Welsby greenside have seen these 2 bowlers in Bass competitions over the years, and now watching, I'm wondering just what their feelings are about the eventual winner of this fascinating final.
Down the green side with Roy Orbison. Amazing what a difference a few hours makes. Roy, John Bancroft against G Cookson just couldn't miss on this very same mark. Okay, he's bowled a good one there, but he really is struggling to find his line and length.
It's amazing, isn't it? And sitting down here, I'm definitely of the opinion that the green has speeded up even more. I think it's about 5 yards faster than it's been. And the other fascinating thing, this is the first time in the whole of the championship that 2 players have played with identical bowls. Both these players are playing with Glasgow-based manufacturers' composition bowls, £2.12 in weight and identical. So, in theory, John shouldn't really have a problem in following Tommy's bowls.
Maybe he's paying too much attention to them and not just sort of thinking and channeling his mind in the way that he did against Cookson.
That's right. I think, to be fair, Tommy's playing an awful lot better, and when John than Glyn, and when John has had one somewhere near, Tommy's always beaten it. Tommy's really been in the box seat for most of the game. But it's been fought out once again on this similar piece of land. They've hardly ever moved from this piece.
It'll be well worn by the end of the week, that's for sure. Anyway, let's return to Hugh for the outcome of this particular end. I think John's in 1, Hugh, from where we are. Can you confirm that?
Yes, he's definitely on for 1, Elton, and indeed they're going to measure for 2 now. It's tight. The short bowl is the bowl they're interested in. Banjo taking the time to have a little drink at greenside with his missus, Gillian. Now he comes back onto the green.
Bancroft, 2.
That was worth a measure for John Bancroft because he's got 2 out of it. Well, now where will he go?
I don't think he's going to go back in the corner, Hugh, not the full corner, halving it.
Yes, there's a little finger peg mark with quite a big bend in it. Big £2.12 bowls that Roy Orbison was talking about.
Yard pass, John.
Very big bend. He's got to take a yard of running out. Tommy. That looks better. But even then, that's run through by 8-10 inches. But it's put the pressure once more on John Bancroft. Needs some more running, and a bit more, and a bit more. Give up.
To me, mate, just go on that. Hold out, Tommy. 1 down.
Yes, juggling with the ball in his hands and with his mind because he's going to strike.
Controlled weight. Good strike, good strike. Jack's gone. Dead end. Do it all over again. John grins at Tommy. Very little reaction from him.
Oh, no.
Look at that for a strike.
Bouncing along, isn't it? Dam Buster style. Good clip on the jack. Long way to take it off the green, and then we're going to start a metre from where it went off with John Bancroft again, setting the mark and thinking he can go straight across the green.
Up over the crown. Only just off the crown the other side. Bit tricky for weight here. Oh, John followed the jack neatly and tidily. So's Tommy. Couldn't quite get past.
Hold on, John, you've only got to turn it over 10 inches short. About 2 inches.
Well, he reckons there's room there, sticking to the hand.
Just going up a little bit higher, I think. Well, that's not a badly placed bowl. If Tommy's going to have a bang at it, it's not easy with that short bowl in the way. He goes with a little bit of weight.
Bancroft.
Another short bowl put him off. Good thinking by John Bancroft. So, only 3 in it now. And with John Bancroft here in the start of the 14th end, starting revival, let's pick up on Elton and Roy at greenside again.
Roy, you were of the opinion that John deliberately played that second bowl, 4 feet short, giving Tommy absolutely no clear sight of the jack.
Yes, John felt that he couldn't get another shot, so he stuck with one, and he played it in the way. Sometimes not an easy ball to play. Often the ball just pegs out of the land, but John got it in the way and made it very difficult for Tommy. And I think John Bancroft is one of the best players in the game at varying his game. He can play long and he can play short. And here he's playing relatively short. This is only about 26 yards. And if he can lead well, he'll get Tommy forcing up all the time, forcing up. And this is John's best chance, I feel.
This is, in fact, what G Cookson didn't do. Vary it.
That's right, yes. Glyn stuck probably too long for the same length, but the green definitely is running quicker. We can see the balls traversing, we can see them. The players think they've got a good length and they're just trickling a yard by.
These are the type of marks you'll recall that John played so successfully at the Woodlands, where we used to hold the Bassmasters, and of course he won it twice.
That's right, yes. John thought that green suited his short game, and he's trying it here, and it's being very successful for him up to now. He's coming close to Tommy now, once again, playing finger peg, only about 26 yards, and this is, once it gets off that 11-inch crown, it starts to run down. And this is a good ploy by John.
It's a good comeback too.
It certainly is, yes. Once again, it looks as though he's got a good lead going here. It's only about a foot off. Very difficult to beat, but Tommy's got to be up.
Tell you what, Hugh, he's on a bit of a roll, on a very suitable kind of road as well.
I think you were right when you started to say that, Elton, but then suddenly, as is the case in this marvellous game, Tommy Johnson showed us that he is still there fighting and after the big money.
And he's after the jack.
Yep. He got it, but I think he's left it on. Yes, he has. Terry Ashcroft signals that the grey bowl is on.
Well,
on for 2, tell you. Beautiful stuff from Tommy Johnstone.
Buy your glasses from Vision Express and they'll be ready in about an hour. Even bifocals and varifocals. And you'll get a pair of prescription sunglasses from a selected range, worth at least £89, now absolutely free. Free prescription sunglasses with full UV protection.
Where are they now? Remember Tub Tubson? Once Hollywood's Mr. Big, he shot to stardom playing huge roles. There was his Titanic debut as the Iceberg. And who could forget his Oscar-winning performance playing a planet?
Put us all in the shade. Until, of course, that terrible business with the chat show.
Tug, isn't that lower-calorie beer you're drinking?
Got a lot of body, just like yours truly.
Oh, they ripped him to shreds. What people didn't realize in those days, it can help slimming or weight control only as part of a calorie-controlled diet.
The industry buried it.
Tubbs now works as a mold for dome beaters in Dawababi. Brought to you by Marston's Low C.
Welcome back. John Bancroft beginning to show signs of his motto, never give up. After an inconsistent start, certainly not like the one he had against G Cookson, he's now only 3 behind against Tommy.
Finger peg. It's all about the running here. Anything past the block is probably ditch bound. So it's got to be really slowing up as it gets within a foot or two.
Yeah, this could be John's little problem, couldn't it?
That's gone, I think. Yep. Tommy will try and exert greater pressure. Now, if that slows, that is a cracking bowl. Beauty. If John can actually hit. Oh no.
Tight.
That's curved away underneath. He was too tight with his delivery. I think he's might just have saved one.
Yes.
Yep. Johnson, one.
Yes, a single. Still only 4 chalks in it.
But 1 and Jack, and in this position, Hugh, he's got the other diagonal.
Still a lot of balls left in this final, I tell you.
I hope so.
Thumb peg. Long, long way down there. Well, that's bang on a length. John, fractionally tighter line, I think.
Same ball, so
could do with hitting something.
Would have
otherwise
to,
it
Hugh.
won't stop.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's just trying to psych himself up, isn't he?
He
Clapping
is.
his hands, he's punching the air.
Well, he needs to cheer himself up after his beloved Manchester United went down the tubes yesterday.
Aye, aye.
Oh!
Aye, aye.
Hey, is that a sign? Oh,
no.
No. I was going to say, is that a sign that it's going against John?
2 feet past.
John is still on. He needs something about 18 inches from the block.
I just felt he put it down rather carefully, Hugh, but it's not going to arrive.
Bancroft.
No, I think he saved himself carrying it up there. 1 for John Bancroft, 10, 13. And they're right in front of Elton and Roy at the moment. We'll have a close-up view of what's going on.
John gave Tommy a huge smile. We have to whisper a little bit because we literally are within a stone's throw of them here, but he gave Tommy a right big smile at the end of that end. What was all that about, Roy?
Yeah, well, John thought that Tommy was going for the ball and he had a chance of wicking off it, and he was very pleased that it just missed, and he's playing finger peg over to the fast part of the green, pegging round, and he's got quite a good lead here going, John. Look at him.
I'm not going to repeat what he just mouthed to us there, but I don't think he feels he's playing quite as well as he might. Shall we put it like that?
He's got him down to the fast part of the green, but Tommy's reading everything very well. He's only just missed that ball, and John feels he's got to put him very close to get Tommy in the trap. He's going the same again now. Ideally, he wants to count 2 here. He has to.
Oh, lovely. What a great ball. Great ball. What's Tommy now?
He's just going to try and beat them. He's just going to try and play a dead length and just beat them. He's a chance. Good chance. Done it. Wonderful ball. Under pressure, but he pulled it out. He will not be denied, Tommy. It looks as though it's going to be his day, but there's only 4 in it yet. Anything can happen.
OK, well, if you could lip read as well as us, Hugh, you'd know exactly what John thinks of the way he's playing at the moment.
Yes, I think I can interpret it, Elton. He needs a little run with the block in his hand to restore the bubble and the brightness that he displayed in his semi-final. Whereas Tommy, who has been full of absolutely dedicated bowls all the way through, Kevin Shaw, Roy Moxon, David McDermott, and then Norman Fletcher. He has not varied. He's been just bomb, bomb, bomb. Whereas John has had his ups and downs. You remember his game against the Ladybird.
Yes,
Kath Garnett.
Just got out, didn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't like that. But he's a mood player, we think, don't we? When he's hot, my goodness, he's red hot.
He likes that one a little bit.
Yes.
Entitled to. Yeah. Well, he's still there or thereabouts. Just 2 chalks in it.
And interestingly enough, he's taking Johnson on as he hasn't done since the early days by going straight back for the full corners.
Yes, now that is a distance.
He's tried the shorter marks and been matched by Tommy. Now they're going to slug it out again. That's flying.
Oof, that's in the ditch. That's coming off little short curly marks to this mark, which can, what is probably around about the 50 yards. Might indeed be a little bit more than that. 52, 53.
Yeah, probably.
Well, Tommy's got it. He knows the length of that one. And this will, if he loses this end, this is bound to have just a slight effect on John.
Well, he reckons he's not lost it.
He's got it. He's got it. Yes. Oh, look at that body reaction. Well, look at that. Hey. Didn't he enjoy that one?
Didn't he just? Turned over with weight. Off the line.
Flying through. Wow, John Bancroft, one in the ditch, one on the jack. And he's having a go again.
Real quality bowl.
Let's have a look at the reactions afterwards, though. That was the thing. Look at him there. Really enjoyed it. Brilliant. A distance. Now only 1 in it. Oh, John. He used up too much energy celebrating the last one. Tommy, that stocky, short stepping stride of his, didn't go all the way down the green to see the delivery.
Yard pass. Won it.
Yard passed, but in a winning position. So John, with some correcting to do, matter of at least 2 yards in the running. Looks a bit narrow.
Yes. Now it'll cut away.
Tommy in for 2 here. They're already calling 2 on the bank.
Fair judges.
Yeah, they were right.
Play new UK treasures. There are 5 scenic routes to £10,000.
Did you win as well, then?
Play new UK treasures. Forget it all for an instance.
Hey, it's a tough game. You gotta push hard. If you want to be somebody, dedication, commitment, that's what I want to see. You get it? You gotta train, train, train. You know what I'm saying? It's hard work and it's thirsty work.
Stop that! The advertising code states in Rule 39J that you cannot link macho pursuits with McEwen's Lager.
Come on, work, you bum.
McEwen's Lager. Whatever it takes, we're alive and kicking.
Hey, I'm telling you, the kid's going all the way.
Welcome back. With his lead having been reduced to a single chalk just a few minutes ago. Tommy back in charge now at 16-13, looking the part. He could actually turn the screw in this end, Hugh.
If Tommy scores, he can genuinely think about, at long last, getting his fingers around that Bassmasters trophy, but he hasn't put pressure on John with that. Bumpy part of the green that they're coming over. Takes some running out of the bowl. It's on, but it's beatable. Might just get past. Might just get in.
Single chalk just a few minutes ago. Tommy back in charge now at 16-13, looking the part. He could actually turn the screw in this end, Hugh.
If Tommy scores, he can genuinely think about, at long last, getting his fingers around that Bassmasters trophy, but he hasn't put pressure on John with that. Bumpy part of the green that they're coming over. Takes some running out of the bowl. It's on, but it's beatable. Might just get past. Might just get in. John will want to know. The crowd round that end say that the last bowl's won it. John needing to improve by only about a foot on his first bowl. Go on a bit more, go on a bit more. No. No, I don't think so.
Johnstone won.
Yes. Well, those were 2 very vital ends. 2 in one direction, 1 in the other. And now there's 4 chalks difference between them. But more importantly, Tommy is only 4 away from winning the Bassmasters. Hey, what a lead. Now, Tommy has really turned up the burner. I think John sent one though. A little bit more. No. Road was great.
Hard enough, Tommy.
Yes, that's going to be counting for 2 when it stops. Banjo's in bother.
Everything is tried. Hugh has gone wrong, and yet in the semi-final everything went right. Funny old game.
Can it peg back? Can it peg back? Can it stop? No, it needed to hit the block.
Johnson, 2.
Well, you could take your pick at 5-4 on of these two before the first bowl of the final was played. You won't get a bet on Tommy Johnson now.
And yet when we set off, you know, for the first round, John was at 8, Tommy was 10.
Well, since then they have demonstrated their qualities as bowlers, their right to contest this final in superb conditions here in Blackpool.
All about pace.
Probably won it, but still an awful lot of rum. One thing about it is you can say that Tommy is unlikely. Well, will definitely not score more than 1 on this end, but he's got 1. Oh, look at that, will you?
He needs to know.
Have a piece of that, he says to Banjo.
Well, it's got to go. He can't beat it.
No way you can beat it.
Look, it's at the scoreboard. 19-13, 1 against him. You look in the hat. Never, never give up.
Only 1, yes.
Going for it.
Yeah. It's not a full heavyweight bowl. It's got pace on it and it's off target. So Tommy inches 1 more stride
Johnson, 1.
towards the £7,500 and the kudos of handling as his own property a championship trophy that he's been trying for so many years. Tommy. This the 9th time he's competed in the Bassmasters. This is the 14th Bassmasters. Twice he's made it right to the death. The very first time he came in, it was J Bancroft that beat him in the quarterfinal, destroyed him 21-5. But Tommy's getting his own back now. And the applause wells up round this ground as his father, George, absolutely thrilled to bits with what's going on out there. J Bancroft, bowling to stay alive. Well, I don't think it's changed. Oh.
Well, that's deceptive, Hugh, from our position.
Yes.
The back bowl.
Back bowl is on.
Look like it. Well, Terry's a good judge.
Oh, he is indeed. And certainly the bowlers will believe him. Tommy again looking for another superb bowl. Yes! I tell you what, he is bowling out of his skin, is Tommy Johnstone. Will you look at that? That could be the winning bowl. That could be worth £7,500, that bowl. And if he does win the tournament, hey, didn't it deserve to?
didn't it indeed? That is absolute quality. John's been and had a look. Doesn't like what he sees.
He's got to hammer this. He's really got to give this some stick.
He's got a fair target. Anything could happen, couldn't it? Anything can happen now, I tell you.
Yeah, there's the signal.
Watch your leg.
Gone straight through and out. Tommy Johnstone is the Bassmasters champion. And doesn't he deserve the applause and the adulation that's being shown by this audience all around the green? Time and time again, he's come in and tried for this title. Twice runner-up. And now, third time, well, you could say third time lucky, but there was nothing lucky about what he did there. He did it with superb quality bowls. Brilliant stuff. 21-13, the final score.
So we have a new champion of the Bassmasters. To make the presentation, Mr. Laurie McWilliams, the Managing Director of Bass Northwest. We're delighted for your sponsorship, Laurie. Thanks for being with us again and supporting this event. Well, he's won it twice. I suppose you can't win it all the time. The runner-up, he's had a fabulous week, played some great bowls. J Bancroft. I was just saying to the ladies and gentlemen before, John, that although you're naturally disappointed, I think somewhere deep down that there's a little bit of pride that Tommy, your great mate, has eventually won this trophy after all the years of trying.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm just sorry it was me who had to suffer at his hands, that's all. Yeah, Tommy's one of the most popular guys on the circuit, so and I'm sure he must be one of the most popular winners of the Bassmasters because he's a smashing guy, yeah.
You certainly didn't hit the form you hit against G Cookson.
No, but you can't play that all the time. All credit to Tommy. He never let me settle. He played his own game, dictated the way the game was played. And when I've played one or two guns, he's come and beat him. So I don't want to take anything away from Tommy on today. He's played marvellous.
Yeah, we're talking about your game. When you got to 14-13, you played a marvellous bowl down there. Your reaction was one that suggested to us anyway that, right, you've got your act together now, but you never really continued.
No, that was my one problem in the final. I don't think I've played particularly badly. I've just not led. I've not put Tommy under any pressure when I've had the jack in my hand, which at this level is what the game's all about. You've got to put the other guy under pressure with your leads, and I've not done that to Tommy. And if you're leading them 4 and 5 feet off against someone of Tommy's calibre, you're going to get hammered.
But you've still got a great Bassmasters record. You do love this tournament.
Oh yeah, it's a super tournament. All thanks to Granada and to the Bass for sponsoring it, and I hope they can both continue for many years because it's a tournament all the players look forward to, enjoy all summer long. I mean, well, and all winter if you've qualified the winter before like Tommy has now. Everyone's asking you all the time, are you in the Bass yet? Have you qualified? Who's double qualified? I'm 4th on the reserve list. Will I get in? So it's something that all the players and the spectators as well look forward to, yeah.
Well, your consolation in defeat is a cheque for £3,500. Laurie's going to give you that now. J Bancroft, our runner-up. Thanks, John. Well, he's lost twice in the final before. We've referred to him at the start of the week as the nearly man of the Bassmasters. He's not any longer like G Cookson last year. He's finally won it, and a very popular winner too here at the Rakes, Tommy Johnstone. Hey. Well, I've waited a long time, Tommy, to interview at this point.
Well, keep knocking on the door, and one day it always opens.
Well, it opened for you today. You must be. I mean, can you put it into words how you exactly feel now you've finally cracked it and you've won the Bass?
Not too bad.
Oh, as simple as that, really?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Was it nice playing somebody as cordial as John on the green?
Well, John's very first competitor, when he's playing. But I've just won and he's brilliant, brilliant player.
And a lot of people here around the green, I think, we're sort of leaning your way a little bit because you are such a popular guy on the circuit. And I think everyone in bowls has wanted you to win this because you've been so close so many times.
Yeah, not as much as me. But, it's a dream come true, really, as you say,
So you're absolutely elated, and rightly so.
Marvellous, brilliant, yeah.
Well, right now, you're going to get a cheque for £7,500 from Laurie. And that little trophy over there, Tom, which you've been trying a long time to win. Well done. Receive your trophy and your cheque. A very worthy winner. Well, you've seen other people do it, Tommy. Hold it to the crowd. Tommy Johnstone, the Bassmaster for 1995.